Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Big Blue Power Hour again
What's
with
up,
my
man?
co-host Evan. What's going on, Evan? Almost ready for training camp here.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. Glad to be back. Sorry I had technical difficulties the last time, but we're good to be back, man. It's good to be back.
But yeah, we have a training camp coming up, but we've had 2 episodes of Hard Knocks. What do you think of Giants on Hard Knocks so far?
Kind of what we've been hearing all through the off season, how they handled certain people, how interested they were in Brian Burns, kind of planted those seeds
Yep.
early at the Senior Bowl. Really, I like how Shane, he puts feelers out. Hey, do you want to give up something to come up? Like he
Yeah.
kept
Right.
everything open,
Yeah.
to move back and seeing some of like Jaden Daniels, like his draft stuff and
I like the
Drake. He
interviews.
sound like a wizard. Like he
Yeah.
sounds,
Yeah. He
so
sounds like the smartest quarterback, but I love seeing the interviews, like the
yeah,
interview process of the players and what the players think and how they break down plays and stuff like that. It's like, I'll draw up a play. And I think they ask pretty interesting questions. But one thing Dable does, he curses like all the time. Like he's dropping F bombs left and right. But
I,
it
I,
shows
I
that,
gotta I gotta agree with him on one thing though. I think if you put a thing of chicken wings at the end of that 40, he runs in 7 seconds. Me about 9.5, but I'm getting there.
and everyone's like, "Oh, you think I can run 7?" He's like, "Nah." Everyone's like, "Nah, no way, no way. You can't run a 7." He's like giving everyone the bird, flipping everyone the bird. I would love to see him try and run a 40 because he has slimmed down.
Very much so. He's a lot slimmer than when he left Buffalo. Which is weird, man, because being that close to New York, man, I'd be eating a New York
Yeah,
slice every day.
yeah, right. But I like the camaraderie between everyone in the front office. It seems they're all on the same page, especially Shane and Dable, and that's why I like seeing. That's a good thing. And they seem focused, and they need to have a turnaround season. They can't have a season like last year.
Yeah, I agree. The season last year, it can't be an option. I think that's why they emphasized so much on the three things they were bad at: corner,
Yep,
line,
yep,
and then run stop.
yeah, I
That's what
like that.
the focal point of that offense was.
Yeah, I like that they added. I love that they added Burns, but I do like that they added 2 guys, Newbin and the safety, and they
Mhm.
also added Andrew Phillips, the corner from Kentucky. I can't say where he's going to be, but my assume he's going to play a good amount because he seems more talented than some of the other guys we've had for a bit, like Flott and Darnay Holmes. McLeod is not a bad corner. He played bad last year. And then you have Deontay Banks. So the secondary is kind of young. It's probably the most unknown thing about the team.
Mhm.
But I was watching highlights on Burns today, and Burns is not just a pass rusher. He is his reading of plays, especially run plays, is outstanding. Like
He's a
just the stuff
very
he causes.
he's a very first two level kind of guy. I don't see him going to be dropping back much. So
Oh no, no, definitely not. But he could stop the run, and he could rush the passer, and he causes other players to get sacks. He
yeah,
just creates chaos and confusion for the offensive line, and somehow, some way, he's always able to pursue and get to the quarterback. He's always able to find his way around. Somehow, some way, he's always getting there. Even if he doesn't get a sack, he's always getting to the spot where he needs to be. And I just noticed his run defense is way better than I thought it was. Not watching him play.
yeah. Another thing we learned from Hard Knocks was their draft process. Like they had their 2, 3 guys. I think Joe Alt would have really been an option for them at 6 if he would have been there. Um, just off of the need of what Neil was going to be, but
You don't
you
know.
know that was I think they got what they wanted. I love Neighbors where he said he's like I hate losing. He's like and he was honest. He's like do not like losing. I don't like
Yeah,
not being involved. He goes I want to be a difference maker, which that's what he was at LSU.
makes
So for
sense.
it makes sense for his personality. Um, we've seen a little bit more about DJ's rehab and stuff like that. But getting into this, what I've been seeing the entire week because of Hard Knocks, it's very publicized.
Oh yeah,
People are like, I don't know why the Giants would, make their GM look bad. GM made this. Shane made a decision. He talked about, I'm not mad at Barkley for what he said, and Barkley had his line drawn in the sand.
definitely not.
We had our line drawn. We said, go give us free agency. Now, granted, I can understand what some people say, where he said, "I want to be a Giant for life," but we don't know if he came back with a contract offer or not. I can get that far into it. Pretty
We'll
sure.
find out next week on Hard Knocks. But
If he brought the
but
contract back or just signed, that's going
yeah,
to be
but
the determining factor.
yeah,
But you got to understand, he was not asking for what he got. He was asking for CMC $20 million a year.
and he
18
wasn't going to get that.
Giants had offered him 14 with like 22 guaranteed, which that was considered what his value was. The
It's
Eagles
not a bad
overpaid.
offer.
I'm going to say overpaid for him. It's just they got a longer deal.
Yeah.
more incentives. So he got something that he thinks he can do behind that line. Fair enough. But fucking
Fair.
people like Howard Forskin and the Eagles talking about, oh, the Giants GM is a fucking moron. He's an idiot, dude.
He had a decision to make. You're not.
I just want to say this. Worry about your team and worry about keeping your lips off of unwanted people, because you're out here trying to kiss people, kiss women at a baseball game, unwantedly, okay?
Yeah.
And that you need to keep to yourself and worry about that before discussing my team. And like I said, the Eagles fans, I get it. He's an idiot for letting him go. It's a cap hit. It really what it is. Like
they had to make a decision. They had no choice. You're not going to win.
Barkley, like your guys like to say, Barkley did what was best for him. He did what was best for him. This is what was best for the team. Would him being here next year be anything different? I really don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, they had to make a decision at some point. As a GM, you're not going to win with everybody. Some people are going to hate you. Some people are going to love you. Some people are going to be in the middle. It's just the way it is. Yeah. Paul Spencer says, "Happy birthday! Thank you. It's my birthday day. I'm 45 years old.
Dan, you don't look a day over 44.
5 years, I'll be 50. So, but,
you're about 20 years older than me.
Yeah, I'm old. Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But yeah, like I said, like you're not, as a GM, you're going to get criticized regardless, and you have to make a decision at some point. And I think Shane had a fair offer for him previously, like before last season, and he didn't want to take it. And unfortunately for him, the market just fell out. The market collapsed for running backs the year he won a contract in 2023. It's just the way it was.
And can we give credit to the Giants for not being assholes, not being like, oh, we're just going to franchise you can sit. Like, come on now. Like they could, like, people, especially a lot of teams have done it. Oh, yeah, just sit it out for a year. You're not going to a rival. They didn't care. They're like, we're going to let you test the market. If you think you got a fair deal, bring it back. We'll see if we can match it.
Exactly.
Now, I'm interested to see if 15 and we was offered 18, and someone's like, "Oh no, we can't do that. Like, we got to find something else."
They can't do that. Unfortunately, they can't do that. I mean, they have too many other needs. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is.
San Fran, Kansas City, they can do that because they have enough depth to rely on.
Yeah.
The Giants cannot do that. They cannot have, because that's how we ended up with. Everybody's like, "Oh, the Daniel Jones is horrible trade." End of this year, it's done. He signed 2 years ago. Well, a year ago, pretty much. Last year was his first year, and then this year. After this, we owe no money to him. We can cut him after this year, and there's 5 good prospects coming out of college.
Yeah.
Not including hitting the market.
Yeah, exactly. I think they want to worry about this year and see how it goes, and see how Jones plays. In reference to that, I can't tell what you're going to get from him. But it all starts up front, and if they play well up front, I think they'll be solid offensively. And someone like Neighbors, Hyatt, Wendell Robinson, Slayton, I think that's a good top 4 receivers to have.
It's very good. I'm just, you know how I am. I love the speedy receiver. I miss size. I think size is very underrated in this league nowadays. Like a Mike Evans, like that tall built, kind of wide receiver. The Julio Jones, like. That's what I think the Giants are missing, because every time we've had success, we've had a receiver like that. I know the game is more speed nowadays. I just don't think.
Could that be Theo Johnson?
Placement for at least having one guy with size in your top 3.
Yeah, I think that's just the way it is. I think Neighbors like 6'1" or 6'2", but it's fine. I mean, it is what it is. They have a weapon, and that's what matters. you could go for size, or you get the weapon in Neighbors, and they'll be fine. I don't think that's really going to be an issue for them. Now, they're one of their depth guys, like Bryce Ford Wheaton make it. There are some other guys, that might make it as a fifth wide receiver or something like that. Fifth or sixth, somebody you can get in the rotation. But it could be Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson's 6'6". He's an athletic tight end. So maybe they'll put him in the mix with Bellinger. Because they're going to become a pass-first offense probably. Hold on. Paul says, geez, we need some older hosts on this network. I'm tired of being the senior here at 53. 45 is still young, Dan. Evan is the baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the baby of the network at 25, being the baby. I've been here since I was 23, 20, 22, 23, around there. So it's always been fun. Funny enough, Dan, your birthday is a day before my son's.
Interesting.
My son's birthday is tomorrow. Little guy's turning 2. But, yeah, like I said, the Brian Burns move, I like how he put out feelers for it. I like
that.
He was number 2 on their target list.
Yeah.
And, like, the dude from Carolina, whoever the GM was, he gave away his hand directly. He was like, you can give us 2 firsts for it. He's like, nah, I can't do that. He goes for a first or something, or, something. Yeah. I'm like, dude, you're already, like, you started here, and you're already down here with 1 something.
Yeah, it was a hell of a deal that Shane made. You got to pay him a pretty penny, but I think Burns in this defense with Thibodeau, you don't know Ojulari if he can stay healthy with
he's 25, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's very young.
25 years old.
He's very young.
One of the best pass rushers in the league.
Yep.
Accompanied by one of the best defensive linemen in the league, one of the other up-and-coming defensive ends with the best defensive lineman besides Aaron Donald, who retired now, is not the best defensive lineman in the league. This run stop is going to be very, very good. I like it.
Yeah, that's why I said like Brian Burns. I just was watching some film on him. His run stopping ability is outstanding. Like his play recognition is so good. It's elite level. Like, and that's what I noticed about watching all these highlights is he didn't get the sack every time, but he would force a fumble or force a quarterback into a sack or something. You know what I'm saying?
And how bad the Panthers have been, how good that defense has been because of him. I remember watching the Saints game maybe like last year or the year before.
Oh, lost.
Apologies. Got kids coming in the room, but watching that Saints game and how he kept them close, even though it made plays, even though that team was pretty much, torn.
He's all they had.
Nothing on it.
Yeah, he was all they had.
Yeah. So with the new schedule coming up, like I said, we went over the games a little bit last time. What did you want to say about how Hard Knocks? Like, how did you take it?
I like seeing behind the scenes and seeing how how they react with each other, and you find out a lot of information about some of the stuff they were trying to do. The players they were actually targeting, and you're going to find out what happens with Barkley in this next episode. Mm-hmm. But I really like seeing Dable and Shane work together. They seem to be on the same page. They seem to be doing a really good job with camaraderie, and the whole front office seems to be in sync. That's really what I noticed.
Also confirmed that Wink and Dable didn't go well together at all.
No.
And it played off that the first episode, like that he left out and didn't say nothing and just left and had nothing. I was like, okay, so rumors were true. Him and Dable got into it. Him saying your offense never scored on my fucking defense.
Like that matters. They had one of the worst defense. Like they had one of the best turnover rates, but they gave up a lot of points a game. Like that's because your offense is really bad. I get that, but Wake Martindale just didn't handle that very well. I think that he was doing what Dable didn't want him to do. And what I like about Bowen is he's not as risky, but his defensive system has been in the top 10 most seasons, the past 3 or 4 years.
Especially in like run stopping and red zone.
Yeah.
I think he had like the number 3 red zone defense like 2 years in a row.
Which is good. And he likes a guy like Burns. Like a guy like Burns, like that's what you saw in Hard Knocks. He's like he was talking about Brian Burns. Like I really like him. Like give me Burns and I'm set. That's what Bowen said.
And that's another thing. Listening to your assistants and coordinators, they're like,
Yep.
this is the guy. What was it, Dexter's friends from the Dolphins? You know, they say like he's
Those
not
are the
good
two
on,
guys.
You know, that he wasn't good on. What do you call it? Wasn't good on the run, third down run stop. When he was like, I'm like, yeah, this dude didn't really do his research because he's ranked third in the league on run stop on third down. I'm like, how is he not good on it if he's ranked third in the entire league? But
you already have a defensive tackle, though. I mean, it would have been nice to have him like as one of the ends, but you already have Dexter Lawrence, and you already have Ojulari. If he stays healthy, you have Simmons, you have Thibodeau, and you have Burns.
Yeah,
and Okirike and McFadden. That's a pretty good linebacking core compared to last year.
Yeah, I think they're ranked fourth going in with linebacking core, and that's
it's one of the better ones.
You know, they have a good core, but they don't have that coverage guy, which I'm guessing they're going to try to convert Isaiah Simmons into.
Isaiah Simmons can cover. Isaiah Simmons is actually very good in coverage.
And that's what I think, like, you know, he came out that 2020 draft as like, oh, he's a hybrid. He can pass rush and this. And I think the better for him is to commit him on one part of it. If he's good at pass rush, which he's already at, you know, he's got
situationally he is.
But now that you got everybody, like you have all of them to worry about pass rushing, you need somebody that can get to that ball quick once it's, you know, 5 or 2 second drop, you know, getting it out.
But if you remember, Simmons was doing that towards the end of the season. He started getting to the quarterback, and in packages and situationally, you'll bring Simmons, Thibodeau, and Burns on the field at the same time. You can even have Ojulari out there. You can have all four. If you're all four of them stunt or three of them stunt, Isaiah drops into coverage. So I really like. It's a better linebacking core it's been in a long time, actually. So I got a comment here. Plus, Neighbors has a unique route running. It's top notch. His tree is amazing. Slants in and out, and the vertical. If DJ falls, it falls on DJ and that offensive line to give him time. I agree with that.
And
that's really the big thing.
I want to bring up, and I've seen, like, watching these people on, you know, they give a mulligan to Saquon. Oh, he wasn't able to produce because he had a horrible line. That team's in shambles. The whole nine. You can't give that mulligan to him and not give it to Daniel Jones. And they refuse.
I get what you're saying.
They refuse to give Daniel Jones. Like, I'm not a huge fan of him. Like, I understand. Like, I think it's not his physical attributes. It's just his mental attributes I don't like, because he ends up panicking and making it worse for himself. And we've seen that since day one. He gets rattled. Like, fucking.
Who wouldn't get rattled and sacked a ton of times?
You know what I mean? He's shell shocked. Give him 2 seasons of not being shell shocked, and like hopefully the Carson Wentz effect doesn't come around onto him.
Yeah.
But like hopefully he's strong-willed mind to come back, and maybe he can be a franchise quarterback. But do not give a mulligan to give an excuse to Saquon because he was a freak athlete and he's one of the best running backs out of college, saying, oh, he had no O-line, he had no help. And then go to Daniel Jones and be like, oh, well, you need to do better because you're the quarterback. No, you cannot do it. Both of them depend on the exact same things. They depend on good coaching, stability, and a good O-line. That's what you need. And the good play calling. We've not had a good play calling in 3 years since before Dable got here.
Paul Spencer says, I've always said this, but put him behind the Dallas or Philly O-line. I think you had a typo there at the end there.
You talking about Daniel Jones or
no? He's talking about Daniel Jones. Yeah, I think he's talking about that. Yeah, he said. Yeah, there
exactly. Like, you know, and I think we're going to see this when Daniel Jones leaves. That if he's behind a solid line for like the Chargers, if you put him behind the Chargers, and his next contract, if he does leave the Giants next year, is not going to be $40 million a year. He'll be a $28 million a year quarterback, and that'd be fine. You know, and that, like, somebody's going to back him up. Somebody's going to get hurt. He's going to come in and shine because he's got that stability of being able to be protected.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't give that excuse of, oh, well, it was all on Saquon. No, it wasn't. Like, Daniel Jones was – people forget. Yeah, he was a second to third round projection, but he was QB number 3 on the board.
Probably. I would take him later, but
I would have taken him later too. It is. But it was Kyler Murray. Dwayne Haskins was a bigger target for a lot of people, but his lack of experience. Jones was a 4-year starter. He was QB3. And then it was Drew Lock. Yeah. And listen, if we didn't pick him, Washington was next that wanted him over Dwayne Haskins. So I don't want to hear like, oh, well, you know, we're the only ones. We just were the ones that picked him at 6 because we thought we had to.
Yeah, I didn't think they had to. It's still a surprising pick, but he doesn't have any help at the same time. So when you don't get any help, when your offensive line is one of the worst it's been for the franchise,
like, you know, First Take or whatever, like that. You know, Stephen A. goes, I can't stand listening to Stephen A. because he talks out of his ass. But then you hear people like, you know, Ocho and then Shady McCoy. Like, Shady McCoy, actually, he's the best fucking running back that's ever lived. Like, dude, you have 2 Super Bowls and you played in none of those Super Bowls. Like, you were a glorified number 10 back after Philly.
Yep.
So he talks about Daniel Jones like he's the worst. But every quarterback that goes from a different team to Daniel Jones says he's not bad. He's not bad. He's not.
If he's protected, he's not bad.
It's everything you want in a franchise quarterback. It's not translating because he doesn't have the help.
Yeah, you need help as a quarterback. So,
but they'll go to Saquon and be like, Saquon, we know you're a great player. We know that, you know, you could win games for people. We know you're a top 3 back in the league. Yeah. It's just Giants offensive line. Daniel Jones can't really help you there. Okay.
Well, Andrew Thomas needs to stay healthy. That's one thing I will say. Like, Andrew Thomas is really good, but he's been injury prone a little bit, missing like a quarter of the season or a third of the season, like last year. And without him, like, they're lost. Like, so I hope he can stay healthy. That's the only thing I don't like about him.
Coming out that 2020 draft, you know, he was the only true left tackle, I believe, that like really good. What I'm thinking is, if he gets hurt again this year, I think he might be a train candidate because you're gonna have to move off of him because like you can't be paying $60 million something dollars, you know, left of contract if he's hurt every year. Like, granted,
that's what I'm saying.
You know, if Neal does improve this year, move him back to left side. That's
important.
You know, but Andrew, like that whole draft class of offensive linemen, the first 3 that went, which was Tristan Wirfs and Mekhi Becton, they're all injury prone.
True. Especially
so, you know, like Andrew Thomas has been the stud of the league, a stud of that draft class. Tristan Wirfs was still, you know, really good. But, you know, all of them are hurt. And plus, that MetLife turf is still causing problems. I don't know if it's just the ground it's on, maybe, but there's got to be something up with that area.
Yeah, I don't know. It's brand new, and a lot of people actually use that turf. So I'm not going to just blame the turf. I don't even think Thomas' injury had anything to do with that. He got hurt week 1 versus Dallas.
On the block punt.
Yep.
Yeah, and he wasn't the same all season. He was slower, a little bit hesitant to move out. I hope it was a leg injury, wasn't it? A lower leg injury?
Yeah. Yep. That just persisted most of the season.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm hoping they come in, you know, healthy. Jones is on record he's on process right now of making it week 1 as a starter.
Yeah, he should be ready.
I don't see it. I don't think he's going to be confident enough to go in week 1.
It's not about confidence. It's about health.
Hey, well, your health is a confidence booster, but...
No, they're not going to be like, oh, you're 100% healthy, but we don't think you're confident, so you're not the starter. That I can't see that happening at all. Doesn't make sense to me. Drew Lock has not looked good either. That's what I've heard.
DeVito has.
DeVito ain't starting over Jones. So that's not happening. Jones is going to be the week 1 starter pretty much, I think. Unless he messes up, then Drew Lock will play.
Now, is that because the defense is that good, or is it the offense that bad?
I can't see the offense being as bad as it was last year with a guy like Neighbors. And their offensive line seems to have gotten better. Besides Neal, you don't know. But they've gotten better interior. John Michael Smith needs to have a better season. But I don't see them having as bad a line as they had last year. It's impossible. You can't be worse. Unless you're hurt.
That is a possibility. It's the last 3 years we have been hurt.
But their depth is better. So that's really the key, I think, is the depth is a little better than it's been. And, let's hope that depth, let's hope Runyon and Illuminor and Stinney and, those three guys could at least help the offensive line. You got to hope Neal turns it around somehow.
I believe that's why he brought Illuminor in from the Raiders.
Yep. Just in case.
Also, the tackle from the Bucks, they brought him in, the left tackle. So, I see that they brought in more quality depth that had a lot more snaps.
Yeah.
Because, you have people like Will Hernandez. They went to the Cardinals. He ended up being very well, playing very well over there. A lot of people, when they leave us, they actually end up doing better. Like Ty Phillips went to the Eagles, came back later that year, signed off of waivers, and was amazing. So I was like, this is not a skill problem. It is a coaching problem. The schemes are just not working. And finally,
Daboll's calling plays.
Yeah, and it really shows when we play Dallas, because Dallas every year, DeMarcus Lawrence does this every year. He'll do a bait and switch. He'll swap out, and then you'll just see the offensive lineman go, "What are we supposed to do?" And it's a sack that play. He does it once a year at the same time, and just I don't know. Runyon was a big ad this year.
He was a big ad. I think that definitely helps their offensive line, and I think they're putting him next to Neal because he has experience. I would rather play next to Thomas, but I think they're putting him next to Neal on purpose, so maybe it can help out Neal a little bit.
Yeah, because Neal thought he needed to help a lot more on the left side, and he gave up
the
left side way too much.
He was worrying about the inside, but he's got to be worrying about the edge, his right side. That first couple of steps to the right, getting in position is always his issue. If he could get in position, he's okay. But his footwork has just not been very good, and that's been a problem for him.
Mm-hmm.
But when your guard is also really bad next to you, you have multiple guards next to you, you're gonna struggle because of that, because the twists are what Neal really struggles at.
I believe that's where they brought in Lawrence K. Or they kept Lawrence Cager in.
Yeah.
I believe they're going to stick him outside of Thomas on heavy run plays.
Yep.
Just to give him that outside edge a little bit better, or play action passes. I could really see them doing a single back field, tight quarters, kind of a not the opposite of a spread. I'm sorry, just very much run off the edge, get as much people, pull guard kind of thing when they're in the running game. I don't see them running out of the shotgun much.
I don't like running out of shotgun, to be honest. If you're not gonna do that zone blocking scheme right,
really good old line for it, and I'm just the first year you've seen it when they ran it with Barkley and Jones. It worked for the better half of the season.
It did,
but they got to get away from that rollout. That rollout is not fooling anybody anymore. The rollout was all right, Jones rolls out. Is he going to run or is he going to pass it?
Paul says, to me as a coach, you want to type that again? I feel. I'm not sure.
Not the I formation. It's
I formation. Maybe.
Fullback.
Yeah, I always liked having a lead blocker. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I never liked, because all the time they ran out of shotgun last year, and with as bad as their offensive line was, you knew Barker wasn't going to get much, because it's just a slow developing play. And like you said, you need the right offensive line, the right skill at that position to be able to pull that blocking scheme off.
All right. So we kind of talked about the Giants. Not much that came out. We got to really keep up with what we've been watching. But I want to go around our division and see what's been going on there. What do you want to start with today?
You can start with what you were talking about the Eagles.
Eagles. He said, we have a lot of Eagles fans. This podcast has a lot of people from Philadelphia in it. We appreciate you guys watching. Paul himself, myself, from Philadelphia. Your team doing well. Probably going to be contenders this year. They're my pick to win the division. I just don't think it's going to be as great as a win is. I'm thinking it's going. I really think it's going to go back to the dog days of the mid 2000s where it was 9-8 wins the division, 10-7 wins the division.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, I think.
I believe it's going to be a lot tougher. I don't think Dallas gets 12 wins. I don't believe the Eagles get 12 wins. Just like I don't think Washington and the Giants only get 5 wins. I think it's a 2-game lead, if anything, a 2-3 game from the worst. I got the Giants going 7-10. I have Washington 8-9. I have Cowboys 8-9, and I have the Eagles at 9-8. So somewhere around there, give or take 2-3 games for each side because Cowboys split with the Eagles. The Eagles always give one to Washington or something like that, or the Giants have won a few in the last couple of years. That can definitely switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
We always beat Washington, so that's 2 on the board right there. So it's Paul. You're from Philly, but you root against everything from Philly. You moved out to Pittsburgh and became a Penguins fan. I've never heard that, and now you're rooting for the Pirates. I've never heard that in my life. Never heard that. The only team I think he roots for, and I don't even think it's that because he might even be a Pacers fan. But
Eagles.
yes, we're talking Giants.
We're talking Giants before. We're talking about the Eagles at the moment.
The rightful owners of MetLife Stadium. We have a bad tenant in that building. They wear this shitty ass green like somebody 90 miles away from us.
Yeah, let's see how they do versus the Eagles this year. I mean, they won the second game last year, got stomped by Dallas. As long as they have a week 1 like they had last year, I'll be happy. But division-wise, I don't know if the Giants are going to finish 4th or 3rd. I can't tell. I can't tell Washington's going to be, even though they have Daniels and they have Brian Thomas Jr. They made a lot of good moves, I think. But I can't tell how exactly they're going to be. I think their defense will be good.
But that's the thing. Nobody, the NFC right now, it's the NFC East's division or conference. It really is. The NFC South is in shambles.
Oh, it's horrible.
Horrible. NFC West is really dying out, except for
San Francisco.
LA's kind of hanging in there, but
Seattle might not be bad because they're talented.
What one?
Seattle. Paul Spencer says we cover the Pirates and Penguins make money selling their season tickets.
Somebody can offer me $1 million to put on the Eagles jersey, and I'm never doing it.
You sure about that?
I'm never doing it.
That's $1 million.
I'd keep my pride.
I think I might take $1 million for a way to wear it, put it on, take it off.
No, you gotta wear it, for a day at least.
It's $1 million though. That would be hard to pass up, to be honest.
Dan,
I can burn it afterwards and celebrate.
Dang, we're on a Giants TV or Giants show here, man. You gotta be like, I would never. We know we probably would, but you gotta, man. You know what? I'm putting out ads right now. I need a new co-host.
That's $1 million, man. That's a lot of money.
But
I got myself a new vehicle, so that's why.
But also, like you said, so going into that, Eagles are set up. I don't think the offensive line is going to be as good as it was. It may. I don't know how they are, depth wise. Lane Johnson's getting up there, so we'll see how they come up with a right tackle. He's had a couple of injuries over the last couple of years. Not major.
I don't know if their offensive line is going to be as good as it's been. They do have some good talent.
Yeah.
But I don't know how their offensive line is going to be overall. It may end up, but they may have a little bit of a setback because Johnson was good, even though he's older.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they still have a lot of depth and talent. Our offensive line, I think certain positions are good, but overall, I don't know how they're going to play. I think Dallas' offensive line is better than ours. But Dallas also has to sign Lamb or Dak. They have a couple they have to make a contract to one of those guys. And I was talking with Paul the other night about it being CeeDee Lamb, and that guy kills us, man. Like CeeDee Lamb just destroys us.
It's the only Cowboy receiver really does. Cole Beasley used to kill us too. I ain't gonna lie. That's the one Cowboy I can't. Besides Marcus Lawrence, I don't really hate. I hate the Cowboys as a team, but like their players can't really. I don't really care for them. But the only Cowboy I cannot stand in this fucking earth is DeMarcus Lawrence.
DeMarcus Lawrence always seems to kill us. Paul says Dallas can win the division if BB at center and Guyton at left tackle. I think he's a rookie from Oklahoma or Bama, maybe. Can adjust to the new position. Defense will be stronger this year with Diggs and Overshawn coming back. That's true. Like I think, and Parsons, I think their defense will be good. I think their pass rush will be good, and that's the biggest thing for the Giants when they play them is protecting.
Mike Zimmerman's their defensive coordinator, right?
Yes, he's a good defense coordinator too.
Yeah, yeah.
And the defense coordinator from the Cowboys is the Washington coach this year.
Yeah, Dan Quinn. Now, Dan Quinn is, to me, the low man on the pole. Now, this is how I rank the coaches. You got Sirianni, because obviously he went to a Super Bowl and literally lost it in the last second.
Yep.
Can't fault them. They played hard, almost beat a dynasty. It's the second dynasty the Eagles have fallen to. But I put Daboll second. Daboll took a one playoff in 10 years team that has been very bad, barely changed the roster, and took that roster and won a playoff game.
Which is impressive on its own.
That's way more impressive than what Mike McCarthy has done, because Mike McCarthy has become a perennial choker. He cannot win the big game. He cannot get to a conference championship. Even when he was with Aaron Rodgers, which is one of the best QBs in the last 50 years, probably top 5 of anybody's, even with the one ring, could not overstep the Legion of Boom, can barely beat the Cardinals with Carson Palmer, and then got steamrolled by the Panthers.
Yeah.
So I put him third. Dan Quinn, what his time was in Atlanta was great, but you cannot look up how bad that number 1 ranked offense was the second half of that Super Bowl. And a 25-point deficit erased.
Yeah.
He's a great defensive coordinator, horrible head coach. I put it out. He's number 4.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know how exactly he's going to do. I think, like I said, I think Washington's done a great job with their roster. I think they drafted well, but I'm interested to see how they're going to put it all together, because they do have a rookie quarterback. But if he has a connection with McLaurin and Brian Thomas Jr., and they gel together, Daniel seems like a really good quarterback. But you never know with a rookie and a rookie head coach.
No, but the thing is, he's not a rookie head coach, though. He's had experience as head coach.
True. Well, I mean,
this is Daboll's first head coaching gig, so he's had 2 seasons under his belt.
I'm talking about the first time for Washington, as in there, as in not he's been a head coach. I meant to say, this is his first time in Washington with a different team. I want to see how he does with this roster.
Sirianni, this is his first outing as a head coach. He was a coordinator in Indianapolis, and then you have Daboll. This is her first team that he's control of.
Yep.
And bringing it back to the Giants for a second, you just touching upon what you said. Every time he talks to Shane about something, it is a great discussion. It's very, Shane's very optimistic and very accommodating to try to get him what he needs.
Yep.
For this, and that's what I like to hear. Because of past rumors of being very difficult with the GM not getting what you need, so on and so forth. But giving it back to bringing it to Washington again, they beefed up the offensive line, beefed up the defense a little bit, and have a rookie. They still have Curtis Samuel. I got a feeling Debo might be going there. I just have a strange feeling that he's
I
an
don't know.
option. There is a petition to bring back the coveted
The
name of the
name.
Redskins.
Yep.
Led by the Blackfoot tribe. So that's also a Native American group petitioning to get their rights back because nobody knew this, but I guess before they took the name, it is a tribe, a Blackfoot tribe chief, and they were getting I guess trademarks to them paid for the
Yeah.
last 70 years of using it.
Hmm.
They were getting money paid to the tribe for it. Now those payments are stopped because a whole bunch of people didn't like the name.
Yeah.
And
Considering.
I don't think it was more of, oh, we don't like the name. It's like, oh, everybody else doesn't like the name, but I don't want to look like I'm wrong. So hey, yeah, let's get rid of the name.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe that. Give the people their money back. Let them. If they want to be portrayed like that and they don't find it offensive, let them. Like it's
Well,
fine.
that's who made the logo was a Native American,
Yeah,
and they had no issue with it. So I find it interesting, but it would be interesting what they're going to do. But under new ownership, they're in good shape. I think Paul Spencer's. That's why Cliff went out. Quinn went out and grabbed Kingsbury as an OC, who could coach Jaden Daniels in a spread offense. Uh, Cliff had names like Hurts, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, and Mahomes
Patrick
at Texas
Mahomes.
Tech. So he knows what he's doing. A guy like Daniels, I think their offense will be all right.
Yeah, and plus he's going to run too. He's going to be another, like Jones type, that big, lanky, quarterback that can run, a Cam Newton type. He might be a little bit more athletic than
He's
Jones.
smart.
Yeah, very smart. But with bringing it back, Robert Griffin III asked, he's like, "What do you guys want to bring back? This is a safe space." And everybody was commenting the names. The one, we're talking about uniforms last time, and the Giants in those horrible red stripe and gold pants. I get
I
it,
like that.
but it needs, I want the Redskins to come back with those maroon and gold with the spear or the arrow on the helmet.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought they were the most fire, and I always said it. I'm like, if you're going to take the name Redskins, fine. It's whatever. But at least leave the Native American heritage part of it. You could have named the Washington Warriors.
Something like that, yeah.
And kept those helmets and kept that, that logo.
Yep.
Would have been cool. That would have been very cool and still paid them dividends. But I don't know. But going back, I think, like I said, the running game, I think, needs a little bit more work. They do have a solid running back. I think he was an 800-yard rushing back. Can't remember his name at the moment. Solid, but does that offensive, Cliff Kingsbury spread offense, air raid kind of offense, does that hold up with no running game? And how much can you do a game with that?
Well, you only need it for balance, and having Daniels and Thomas, one of his receivers in college, I think that helps a little bit for the chemistry with the receivers. But they only have to run to keep balance. You don't have to necessarily run the whole game.
Yeah, but you got to run and have purpose yards. You can't run to the, you can't run and run to the back of your, your offensive line, twice and then throw it deep, or throw, you got to. I don't think it's going to be as effective because when the run's not going anywhere, it's just a waste of a play at that point.
Yeah, well, obviously the run has to go somewhere, otherwise it's not effective.
But I don't think they have the capability of that. I don't see that.
And they have Anderson, the guy that went to Bama, Anderson Jr.
If you look at what James Conner was in, Cliff Kingsbury was in Arizona.
Yeah.
He had people like James Conner, and then James Conner would have like 110 yards rushing throughout the whole game. Broke it off for a couple 20s here and there, and then he would just shut down the run. Like he shies away from the run in the fourth quarter, even when he's down or when he's up. And it's cost him a lot.
Well, let's say they're gonna have some balance in their offense, just like we need. We need balance. I think they're gonna be more pass and run, but you still need a balance to keep teams on their toes.
I agree. So, what are your thoughts on the Cowboys at the moment?
I think the Cowboys are going to have a good team this year, to be honest. They have Diggs coming back. They have Orgeron, coming back from an injury. It was, I think, a rookie last year. I think Dallas is going to be probably one of the better teams in the division, to be honest.
With that
And
hard,
it's not the schedule. I'm just talking about how they are. Like that's a result. But talent-wise, they're one of the more talented teams in the division. Period. They're more talented than we are, and they're more talented than Washington is, I think.
so who are your dark horses right now for the conference?
Washington.
Give me two.
Read players or teams?
Teams.
Washington and the Giants. I don't think the Eagles are a dark horse or the Cowboys are.
No, I meant for the conference, the NFC conference.
Conference? Oh, God, I don't freaking know. I haven't even looked at any other teams, to be honest. Let's see. The Vikings, maybe? The Vikings, maybe, if McCarthy gels Justin Jefferson, even though he's a rookie. I'd say the Packers again. I think the Packers are going to have a good team.
I think LA and the Packers are where my
The Rams maybe because the Rams could return to their true form. Detroit.
They say I'm hoping for a playoff berth this year. Realistically, I'm looking at it as probably middle of the pack. We might sneak in, we might not.
Depends.
Just on the toughness of the schedule this year.
Yeah. And the uncertainty.
I don't think we're going to be up there for a top QB. I think we're going to have to go free agency for one. A little too early to tell because, listen, the NFC can be wrecked by the time we start because of injury. We can drop
injuries can shred you. That's what happened to us.
And this should be week 1, week 2. By the time we look at week 7, we could be in first place. It's just that's how it falls.
Yeah, the Giants had 10 or 11 or 12 different offensive line units last year. Was
it like 22 different combinations of offensive line or something like that happened? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of predictables, but like the offensive line, the pass rush for the Giants, I think will be fine. I think that'll be one of the better pass rushers in the league. I think a guy like Burns, if Ojulari stays healthy, Thibodeau takes another step in Bowen's defense, and you have Isaiah Simmons back. The secondary, I think, is more of a question mark. I think Nubin and Belton or Nubin and Pinnock will be the starters for the safeties. And the corners, I don't know. I think Deonte Banks starts. Andrew Phillips, I don't know. Darnay Holmes and Flott are more slot corner guys. You have Aaron Robinson still. McLeod. You're hoping Andrew Phillips, Banks, and Trey Hawkins III, those 3 guys, make an impact. That's another guy, Trey Hawkins III, I think could end up being your third corner or your second corner, depending on how he picks things up in Bowen's defense.
I agree. Do we have any sponsors to do right now or no?
I don't think so. Just one, I would say. But I don't think we have any sponsors to do actually. This time.
Still working. But yeah, my hopes for this, like I said, what are your realistic hopes for the season? What do you want to go into this year?
What were they? 5. What were they? 5-12 last year. 7-8 wins. I'd like them to be like 8-9, 9-8, somewhere around there. You're going to have to steal a couple of wins. But if the Giants had an offense last year, they win 2 or 3 more games easily. They don't lose 5. They probably win like 8 instead because they had the Bills game. They lost. Jets game they could have won. And they had a couple other games where they could have easily won the game, but their offense was so bad that there was no way they were winning those games. There was just no way. Unfortunately, you go into the game and be like, oh, they're done. They're screwed. Just knowing how DeVito would hold onto the ball, how bad their offensive line was, you just knew they were going into most weeks with no shot.
It makes you wonder how we snuck out wins against like the Eagles and the Packers. How we snuck wins out like that. Like this team does want to fight. Like this defense wants to go. We didn't lose much on defense. We,
They added.
lost a little bit on offense, not much.
You lost McKinney.
Say it again?
You lost McKinney, and that's about it.
Yeah,
On defense.
Green Bay right now. So, they got a piece that they needed, and we got a draft pick that we needed. Not a draft pick.
Exactly.
We got something in the draft that we needed. So we got, Trey Hawkins, the third or second, whatever it is.
Last year, yep.
That he played well last year. I don't think Aaron Robinson's going to work out. He seems to be very injury prone. Hasn't had a major injury since his first year, but it doesn't seem like he recovered that, cut and speed that he had coming out of UCF. Yeah. So I really don't see him being a part of it, maybe as just a depth hold, but that's about it. But I just want to see the offensive line produce. That's my only hope.
Of course, you want to see the offensive line produce, and I want to see the running back Tracy Jr. I think he might end up being our best back by the end of the year. He's pretty talented.
I just don't want to see us helpless. This team can go 0-17, but if I see them lose a game by 3 points every game, and
as long as they're fighting and battling,
I get what I don't want to come out week 1. Be sitting here with my wings, my pizza, my whatever, my beer.
They got absolutely wrecked
by the first quarter. I'm like, it's fucking done. It's done.
It
ruins your whole week.
Week 1 last, exactly.
I was so hyped for that game. I've told it on here before.
Oh man!
So guys, look at me. I was so hyped for that game. Not even just to win it, because I thought we really had a chance. I had got food. I was doing good that whole day. I didn't do nothing but wait for that game at 8:00. By 9:20, I was like, I'm done. Going to bed.
It was a demoralizing loss for the team, and then the whole season went the way week 1 went. It was just an omen for the whole season. They had that comeback versus Arizona. You thought, oh, all right, they're gonna turn it around, but then the Raiders, they got waxed by the Raiders, later in the season. There are some games that if they could have just played consistent offense, they probably would have won. And it was just an absolute disaster on most fronts. Besides the turnovers, they were top 2 or 3 in turnovers in the whole NFL, which was interesting. But they couldn't score off of them.
Couldn't score. I'm telling you, man, I think Graham Gano's leg got tired all the field goals we were kicking instead of scoring.
That was another big loss, too, because if you had Gano in some of these games, you're probably pulling some of those wins out.
Yeah.
Gano is actually a more important piece to a team with a bad offense like that than you think. At least, because you didn't have a guy like Gano, you had to go for it. He was out most of the season, Gano.
Yeah, that Jets game, we got into field goal position a few times. We're in his range.
Oh yeah,
that could have won us the game, and we had to punt it. And I'm like
they had to punt it or go for it because they'd be behind by so much. Just it's a season you would rather forget about, and that's why I think from seeing Hard Knocks and stuff, they are very motivated. They seem very motivated. They seem to have camaraderie. They seem to all be on the same page and be striving for one goal. And I like seeing that, behind the scenes stuff between Dable and Shane. They seem like they're on the same exact page. And you listen to the words. You listen to Bowen. He went in for the whole staff and said, I need a guy like this. I need a guy like this. He gave players on the list, and Burns is one of those players.
I really didn't see them talk about the offense much besides Neighbor.
They will.
And that's what I'm hoping for.
They will.
I want to see what Kafka's doing. What is he doing?
Well, Kafka, you haven't really seen in Hard Knocks, but I think it's mostly been the front office stuff, not the coaching staff necessarily. It's more the front office, the scouts, the GMs, the assistant scouts. That's pretty much what you've seen. You've seen Dable and Bowen and Henderson, but you haven't seen a lot of the coordinators. You haven't seen Kafka at all in anything yet.
Yeah.
So the offense is probably something they'll do afterwards, because they started out with how the season went, reviewing the season, when the off season started. The next one was the draft interviews, the combine, all that stuff. You'll see the player stuff afterwards, later in the season of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, like you said, I want to see the draft one coming up. I want to see how I got a big.
I want to know what they offered Barkley. I want to know if he actually came back and they had an offer for him, or he just said screw it and didn't come back.
Right
Because he
now,
didn't sound happy on that call at all.
oh no, he sounded like a
He sounded
miserable.
miserable, and I can't say Shane didn't try. You have to realize it's a business. It's just a
And
business. Unfortunately, the Giants
if
had
you
so
can't
many
respect,
needs,
all
you
right,
can't do it.
if you can't respect, well, if you can respect Barkley's decision but not Shane's
I do.
decision,
I respect both of them. I get it.
but see, that's what I'm saying though. They're
I get
giving
it.
once again. Barkley's getting a mulligan, and the organization is not.
Yeah, I
I
think
get it. He played bad under us. We didn't give him a chance. This is what the Giants have said. The Giants fans have been like, he don't have a chance.
it's
Like
two
this
different.
organization needs to do better.
Yep.
I think it is that Shane came in. It was like, if we can get Barkley, we can get him. If not, what did he say? They wanted Josh Jacobs, which I thought was which I was like, ooh, okay. Like
I don't think that would have been a bad move, but I think they wanted to invest in Burns. That's one thing, and the offensive line.
now imagine the O line gets better, and now you have two 850 to 900 rushers with Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy, I think, is talented. He doesn't have wear and tear either. 1 year as a running back, and he is like a natural. The coach from Purdue, and played in the Big Ten and was pretty good. He's one of the best running backs in the country. So I think that's a really good late pick, but it's going to be running back by committee. And if you have a couple of guys that have 1,800 yards together, I think that's perfectly fine. Gray, I have no idea.
But since
I have no idea what to expect from him.
But since 2011, when Brandon Jacobs retired, Bradshaw retired, they had besides Tiki, they've always had one or two running backs. Then one was like 800, the other one was like 400 or 500.
Yeah.
They've always split backs, and this is since the first championship.
Yeah.
Then the second one, against the Bills, they actually put it on Otis Anderson's back. They're like, you're going to be running the ball all game.
He's real good that season.
Very good. So, this is something that, the Giants have not, besides Tiki Barber and Saquon Barkley, which were, probably the best runners, in that era, they all were played by the same thing. You're the best player on a bad team.
Yeah, but the thing about back then, it was like back in the 80s, 90s, you ran the ball a whole lot more. It was just different. You had the blockers. So I'm interested to see how Dable's going to call the offense. I think it's something they should have done from the beginning, and I'm very interested to see how they're going to run their offense with Neighbors. Because a guy like Neighbors is dynamic and changes a lot. Changes a lot what you can do. Now you have to worry about Neighbors. You have to worry about Hyatt and Wendell Robinson.
I think Hyatt's going to have a breakout season with as much swagger as Neighbors is coming in with the league with.
Yep.
And, Wandell being on the outside, I think Hyatt is going to explode because number twos don't get as much. This is why T. Higgins is so good because he's a number 2 or number 3 sometimes.
I like T. Higgins.
I do too. But you're starting to see number 2s are getting a lot more play because everybody's got to worry about the number 1 receiver.
You're going to have to worry about Neighbors. You're going to have to double him. That's how talented he is. You can't just be like, oh, there's Neighbors. You have to pay attention to him. You have to have a guy over the top and a guy on him at the same time. The same thing with Hyatt. So, Slayton and Wendell Robinson, you have to worry about too. Wendell Robinson's dynamic. So what I love what they did was they improved their offensive line slightly. You need something
and then Theo Johnson.
Yep, you need JMS to have a better season. You need Thomas to stay healthy, and your guys you signed to perform. They could have an average offensive line with the receivers they have and the good depth at running back. I think they'll be all right offensively. I don't think it's going to be like last year, unless Jones totally fails. But I think with protection, I don't see why they can't produce more points. I think their offense could be better than it was 2 years ago, just because their weapons are so much better. They had nothing like that 2 seasons ago when they won the playoff game. Nothing like that.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I agree. I think we said prediction 7-10, 8-9. If we, like you said, but that's just coming out like face value on teams. My ceiling is 10-7. My bottom is like 6-11. Like that's my bottom. Like that's where I see. But like in between there is all doable. Do I think they're gonna come out and win 13 games? Hell no. Would I be surprised?
No, if they're 6-11, that's not very good. I think.
No.
If you end up 6-11, your season went similar to. It could be a lot of close losses, but I just don't. I think you gotta win 7. You have to win at least 8 games to call it a better season. 6 or 7, it would be okay, but I like to see him get 8 or 9 wins. That's what I would like. Need 4 more wins to get 9.
All right, Dan. So it's about that time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good show. Good talking about Giants football. We have training camp in like 2.5 weeks or so. So, 2-3 weeks. So it'd be interesting to see the battles in camp, and I'm interested to see the new Hard Knocks episode on Tuesday.
Waiting for it. Well, we should be back next Friday if things change, because Dan's got a little friend now.
But we'll be back next week, probably on Friday. Time to be determined.
Time to be determined.
Yep. So we will see you all next week, and thank you for joining Big Blue Power Hour. Let's go Big Blue. Hopefully this season in the fall is better than it's been, and we will see you all next week.
Yep.